David, we're back on.
Yeah.
This is a good spot here.
Yeah.
Much less wind. We're going to get the odd truck and car going past, caravan, holiday.
Yeah. One of the
Seeker.
joys of living on a busy road.
Yeah, it's
Everyone
quite busy.
can see what you're doing.
I'm always hearing what David Marsh is doing indirectly. I drove past David Marsh the other day. No, it's usually very complimentary.
A bloke, I was poking around on a Sunday morning just over the hill from where we're standing, and there's a car pulled up on the side of the road, and I thought, I better go and see if he's in trouble.
Up to no good.
So I went over there, and here was a bloke I knew quite well. In fact, there was the bloke who did the monitoring to show how much salinity was in the Burra catchment, a bloke called John Powell. And I said, what are you doing, John? He had a big camera with him. He said, I was coming over the top of this hill, and he said, I thought, what is the value to the people that drive on this road of the scene that you've created with all the trees you've planted? Because he was sort of involved in the Murray-Darling Basin Commission back then, the dryland program, and it was when they were trying to work out, what's the cost share of society helping to pay for environmental stewardship, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It was early days. It was the polluter pays principle.
Mm-hmm.
But I think probably now it's probably shifted from that. It's more that society, and because people are eating, they've got a hand in land degradation. So it's appropriate that there's some money coming from the populace to help with land issues. But the obligation for farmers is to look after land, and they want to do that because it's in their interest to do it, really.
But I guess on that, because we've gone off topic, which is good.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing, isn't it, that it is in their best interest to look after the land? Absolutely, because if that resource is not functioning and not viable and not everything, then it's not good for the business.
No.
Why is it sometimes? Is it about the execution? They have the intention, and they don't. Where does it sort of not sometimes work?
I mean, I think if you ask any farmer what's their goal for the farm they're looking after, they will all say, almost to a person, that they want to leave it in better condition for their grandchildren than they found it when they inherited it or bought it or whatever it is. And I believe they're very sincere in saying that. But then along comes the change in the weather, and human beings have got this infinite capacity to kid to themselves that whatever they're doing is good, because they have a conversation going on in their head about who they are, and they want to believe they're good people. And so we have this amazing capacity to kid to ourselves as things deteriorate that they're still okay, and we're willing to compromise on that, particularly if we haven't sort of thought hard about what's the future landscape that we want in the place that we're living and managing. So I don't think anyone, it's absolutely true to say nobody sets out to degrade land, but sometimes we don't have the skills or the knowledge of how to do something different when conditions change. I was certainly one of those. I turned this place into a desert in 1982, and that was a big shock to me, and it set me on a path of trying to find a better way of doing things that was, I suppose if you put it in big terms, more planet friendly, I suppose I'd put it. But it took me 16 years before I stumbled upon what we're doing now, managing holistically. And that was quite a long journey, but I think there's lots of people who are thinking about that and wanting to do something about that, but they lack the confidence that if they take a different direction, and I certainly thought this myself, I thought, can I do this? It's so radically different. Can I do that without going broke? And actually, back then when we started in 1999, we had not a crippling but a concerning debt, and now we don't have any debt. So I mean, that says a lot to me about the worth of what we're doing, and it's really, the reason is because the farm's doing the work. We're not really doing much to the farm at all except managing livestock. So yeah, that's a really, I'm not crowing about that, but it's just something that's happened, that we've just got our costs under control, and our debt position doesn't exist anymore. Now that's some people probably think that's foolish at the moment when money's so cheap. But I'm not looking to expand. We're quite happy with what we've got.
Do you think, is it sometimes that farmers aren't looking far enough down the track? Like are they looking just in the next 6 months or 12 months, production wise, input wise, output wise, that they're not maybe thinking, what do I want in 5 years or 10 years? Is that the thing?
Oh, look, I think the pressures on people to perform economically are out of whack with the way the world functions. So the world functions in longer cycles than the annual economic cycle. And if you're under the pump and you're pushing hard, you've expanded and the seasons have gone against you, everything looks like it's falling apart, it's very hard to plan ahead. And you mightn't have the knowledge about how the world does things that maybe means you don't have to do as much as. I mean, I was tearing around here like a mad thing, doing a lot of stuff and going backwards really. And that probably means I'm a mug farmer. But now I find, we've been through 12 years of below average rainfall since we started doing this in 1999, and we haven't fed any animals, we haven't lost ground cover, we've changed the number of animals to suit the conditions, and that has some consequences. So like now, myself and lots of people, I think, feel like they're running less stock than they could at the moment. But certainly for me, I'm not interested in rushing out and borrowing a large amount of money to put more stock on. So we're actually running adjustment these days, and we'd love to have some more cattle right now, but our very good adjustment clients have got numbers of properties and plenty of grass, so it's understandable that they're not giving me more cattle right now, but the wheel will turn and we'll have some grass and they'll be wanting to put cows on it.
I guess there's also the thing, thinking longer term, you can sort of plan, you can sort of push your profit out a bit further. Like you're investing time and some resources in, in some of your activities when you're doing it differently, that you can sort of think, well, I'm getting that paddock prepared. I can go and graze it and work out how many dollars we're going to make per acre on that paddock this year, or I can try and get that profit here and now, or I can actually do some, maybe leave it for a while, let it rest, let it recover, and then that profit gets pushed out. And I think some people have a problem identifying it,
yep,
the actual numbers involved, but then also the concept of, well, why wouldn't I just do it now and get the money in the bank this year?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Well, look, I'm not a financially minded human being, to be honest. Obviously, we want to make a profit. That's one of the things we say. We want to make a profit out of plants and animals, and that's what we do want to do. But I'm not obsessed by it, and I've found by doing less that the land looks after itself if you get the numbers right with the animals, and so you're not really spending any money much. Now that's a problem for some people. They think, that's not good for society. We're not contributing, but you're looking after a fundamental resource that's you own it for a short period of time in the history of the world, but it's actually it's really not ours. We have an interest in it financially for a short period of time, and hopefully a lot of people want to pass it on. We don't have any farmers coming on in my family, so but they will benefit from a sale if it gets sold one day. So there's a million ways of looking at this, but I think the lure of the short-term profit is very seductive, and all the technology that's coming on these days is incredibly seductive for young people particularly. But it's probably not for the lack of all of those things that land is healthy. Land is healthy because of your attitude, I think, a lot of the time.